Welcome to the Master Dealmaker's Secrets podcast. And now, here's sales growth strategist, John Blake.
Welcome to Master Dealmaker Secrets. I'm John Blake. This is episode 48, and we are going to be talking about, in today's podcast, the 5 critical mistakes that people make in their sales. And so I'm really excited to share this with you. I think this is going to be immediately actionable. There will be some things that you are quite possibly doing or that your team might be doing that you can stop based on what it is that you learned today. But first, if you've got lead flow and you are wanting to convert more of those leads into paying clients, head over to johnblakeaudio.com and get your free audio training where I show you the precise strategy that I use to double sales with your existing leads. So this is the exact same strategy I teach my brand new clients when they come on board with me that we use to have my program pay for itself within the first 60 days. And it works every time. I haven't ever seen it not work because almost every business that I've ever come across always has people who have inquired, have been sent some type of proposal or quote or whatever you want to call it, and they haven't converted. So this re-engagement strategy is particularly powerful. So head over to johnblakeaudio.com, download the audio training and get the PDF companion guide. And it's actually got the exact follow-up templates and phone scripts, exactly when to call, exactly when to email, that you can put into use straight away that will deliver you consistent results. So head over there now and get that. And good luck using that. I'm sure you'll get a great result out of it. Okay, so the 5 critical mistakes. So I heard sales referred to by a business person that I actually have a lot of respect for. He called it a moving target, and I actually think that's a really good analogy because it really is a moving target. You know, it's always evolving, it's always changing. You know, markets are shifting. What worked, 5, 10, 15 years ago doesn't necessarily work today. You know, there are certainly principles of human influence at their core that remain the same, but the way that these principles need to be executed to remain effective is constantly changing. Despite this, having literally coached thousands of salespeople over the years, I tend to see them same mistakes happening over and over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list the 5 biggest ones that I see, and I think these are the ones that really do the most damage if you don't fix them, if you don't address them. So if you're able to avoid these mistakes, I think you're going to make a lot more sales as a result. And look, if you ignore them, then I think you do so at your own risk, most definitely. Especially in this market where, there's so much competition and then people have so much choice. I think this is it's going to be super valuable for you. So first one is talking too much, right? So years ago, to be considered a really good talker was to be considered a good salesperson, right? So, to some extent, this actually has some merit, but to be a good talker with no structured sales approach, in many cases, you're just going to be an excited bore. You're going to be someone who's enthusiastic, but enthusiastically boring. So to be great at sales, you need to know how to string a sentence together, but in my experience, the best salespeople are often the best listeners, not the best talkers. So, how good you can get at listening and really perceiving what's happening in the client's world and being emotionally intelligent to understand, what they're experiencing and how they're experiencing the conversation, that's infinitely more powerful and more effective than simply being a good talker, right? So the second one is too much prescription and not enough diagnostic. Right. So this relates really closely to the previous one, but really it shows itself in a sales conversation as someone who jumps in too early into telling somebody about their product or service. And I have heard it referred to on occasion as premature elaboration, right? So that should make it pretty easy to remember. And look, the best salespeople quickly and effectively diagnose before they jump into product presentation mode. That's the bottom line. That's what you need to do. You need to spend a lot more time in diagnostic and a lot less time in talking about your particular product as a general rule of thumb. It's certainly in my experience, I reckon it's probably the biggest mistake I see. The third one is selling to somebody who is not a fit, right? So selling to someone who isn't a fit, who really can't benefit from your product or service, is actually a really bad thing to do. Like there just are so many bad things about doing that. So if the reason why actually isn't apparent to you, then there's, here's a couple, right? They will get a bad result, which means that they will become a part of your anti-fan club, which in this world where they can go online and write a horrible review about you is a compounding nasty thing. They'll often end up being the most needy, or often the clients from hell, and then they'll tell others that you suck as well, and they'll create negative word of mouth. So, that one should go without saying, but sadly, it actually still happens. People do end up taking money from somebody who they can't add value to, right? Using cliches that put people off. So what comes out of your mouth can actually win someone over, or it can put them off. Years ago, I had a colleague who used to always say that, actually heard him say this to clients. I couldn't make this up. I used to listen to him talk to clients, and he'd say, "Oh, let's talk turkey." And it used to drive me nuts. And look, I don't know whether that's an acceptable term, but I just used to hear it and I used to go, whoa, right? It's because, why? Because what is the general connotation to the word turkey, right? It's not that positive. If someone's a turkey, normally they're like, an idiot or a weirdo. And I just couldn't understand that with the abundance of words available in the English language, that there wouldn't be better ways of describing the act of actually having a chat to somebody about business, right? So in short, words are either used constructively and they add to the experience of the person that you're talking to, or if you use the wrong words, they can subtract. And people make decisions for the most incredibly weird reasons. And it could be something, I've literally heard clients tell me that they didn't end up purchasing from somebody because they had nose hairs, right? It can be something as simple as that. So, cliches, are really worth avoiding. If you've got cliches, in your industry, then, avoid them. Why? Because it makes you sound like everybody else. Use words that distinguish you. The fifth one is lying or not being genuine, right? So this one will lose a sale for you so quickly if you don't address it. It doesn't matter how good your sales script or your sales system is, unless you're actually yourself, unless you value your product and your company, and unless those things are in total alignment, then you will lose sales, right? So you need to understand and be 100% clear on your own value. You need to be 100% in alignment and value what it is that you sell. And you need to be 100% and in alignment in terms of the value and your company's ability to be able to deliver on the promises that you're making out there in the marketplace. So those 5 things, there's certainly a bigger list, but, they're probably some of the biggest ones. So, being genuine, making sure that you're in alignment in terms of how you feel about yourself, in terms of how you feel about your product, and in terms of how you feel about the company that you are working for. Avoiding using cliches. We have done an episode on psychophobic words, which is definitely worth going back and having a listen to. Not selling to people who aren't a great fit. Don't take money from people that aren't going to get value from your particular product or service. Too much product talk and prescription and not enough diagnostic. Make sure that you are properly diagnosing, and look, that supports higher conversions as well. So make sure that you are doing more than enough and an adequate, if not a detailed diagnostic before you make any recommendations as to what it is that the person should buy. And be mindful of the fact that to be a great salesperson, you don't have to be a great talker. You need to be a good listener, and you need to have great emotional intelligence in terms of reading clients. So good luck with that, and I will talk to you on the next podcast. Cheers.
You've been listening to Master Dealmaker's Secrets with John Blake. Subscribe to get more in-depth strategies to maximize your sales process with new episodes every week. And double your inquiry to sale conversion with the lead flow you already have. Go to johnblakeaudio.com for his exclusive free no-fluff audio training and companion PDF guide.